Well, welcome back to the channel. Today is June 10th, 2026, and today I want to talk about XDC, ticker symbol XDC on crypto charts. Uh, just before we get started, I am a amateur investor and trader. I'm not a professional. I actually have a day job, which is different. However, what I like to do is I like to take a look at charts and just kind of see what I'm seeing and give my thoughts. And so please take that as you will. I am a longer term investor, which means that I'm not doing day trading or scalping or swing trading. I'm trying to capture a longer move of a particular asset. So, with that all said, let's start off. I am looking at the monthly chart of XDC, and we've kind of hit this bottom here with the where it's not going below this trend line. However, what is obvious from the monthly is that we are ranging. It looked promising a couple weeks ago because we saw the XDC kind of rise up and it came up pretty high. It went from essentially 2 cents to 3 cents. So it looked like it might be starting a longer trend. It's kind of doing similar to what we're seeing here, where it ranged for a little bit. This was back in 2024. As you can tell, even though it had this long wick down, pretty much it was kind of flat here for a few months because this is the monthly chart, so each candle represents a month. This particular candle has 20 days until it closes. So the take don't assume the formation of this candle as important yet. But if you look at like last month, it was a bullish candle, and it overtook this bearish candle that was in April. The question is how long are we going to range? Is it going to keep ranging, or is it going to start its move up, say in July or August, or even later than that? We don't know at this point. But we can take a look at the chart and see if we can get some clues about possibly what's going on and whether we are in pretty much going to range some more, or if there are signs that possibly it's going to continue starting its upward trend. I'm going to drop down to the weekly chart, and as you can see from the moving averages on the weekly, the 50 is above the 200. The 200 is flat, and the 20 is down here. There is nothing that says that this 50 has to cross the 200 and create a death cross. It could do something like this, where if the I'm just bringing up my drawing tool here. If the 50 could definitely do something like this and never actually have a death cross, but that would probably only occur if the 20 moving average started going up like this. The main goal is, even on the weekly, is you want this 20 and you want the 8, which I'll go ahead and bring here. You want the 8 to get above the 20, and you want them both to kind of cross the 200 and then eventually get above this 50 SMA uh, moving average. And again, this is on the weekly, so it's going to take a long time for that to happen if it's going to have a huge bull run. Right now, as you can tell, since about July of 2025, it's been down until we started hitting this bottom line here. And so far, this support line over the last few weeks has definitely held. And as you can tell, it's really been it's really been holding since about April of 2026, this particular bottom. It's not the lowest XDC's ever been. As you can tell, it was lower here at about, let's see, this was about 2 cents, 0.25 cents. And I would, even though we have a wick down there, it's also held at 0.22 cents. So As far as actual price differences, it doesn't seem like doesn't seem like much. Essentially, 2 cents here seems to be kind of the bottom. Now, what now that we've kind of looked at that, if we look at it from a day perspective, as you can see, I with this 8 moving average, it is below the 50 and it is below the 20. To make that clear, I'm just going to move that away and I'm going to move these drawings. Let me remove this. And as you can tell, you don't this is what we call sideways action. This is where the price doesn't really stay above the moving average lines. As you can see, it's chopping through it, and so it's just going sideways, which means you can expect until the price consistently starts staying over, uh, for example, the 8 or the 20. See how the price moved below the 8. Now it's a little bit above the 8. It may go below the 8 again. This is all typical examples of ranging markets or sideways action. This could go on, like I said, it could go on for another couple of months or see. And as we go through this sideways action, what you're going to see back here on the weekly chart is this 50 is going to move slower and slower and possibly cross the 200, signaling more bearish action as a death cross. However, I will say this, the descent of the 50 is not too bad. It could, if it was indicating like really bad downside, it would be more like this. But as you can tell, it's more curvy. So that does give us time to recover and maybe start inching up here to the future. So going back to the daily, what our main goal is you, as you can tell on the daily moving averages, this is the daily 200 moving average, and you've got the 8, which is the white, you got the 20, which is this green, you got the 50, which is this kind of purplish. I'm slightly colorblind, so I might be getting the colors wrong. You want to see the 8 get on top of the 20, and the 20 stays on top of the 50, and you want to see them curving up just like I mentioned before. Now I'm going to show that. Let's go to a different chart, and we're going to go to the weekly, and this is the same XDC chart except I have the relative strength index. I have the relative strength index measures overbought, oversold. You have the stochastic RSI, which measures momentum. You have money flow index, which represents overbought, oversold, but from the perspective of volume and price. And then you have the MACD, which essentially measures the moving averages and their direction and how far apart they are. Here's the good news, though it could turn bearish at any moment. On this relative strength index, we have been since December of 2024 following this trend line where the relative strength index tries to touch it, can't get above it, comes down, tries to touch it, can't get above it, comes down. And now, here in May, specifically May 18th, it went above this trend line. And it is currently holding as support. That is bullish. What we'd of course like to see is we would like to see the relative strength index start to make its way up here and hopefully at some point cross this line, which means we'd be extremely bullish. Even though it'd be overbought, you would see price theoretically going up unless we had some sort of bullish divergence. You would start to see price climbing as this relative strength index is going up. So goal number one for right now is we would like the relative strength index to not break this trend line. And right now it hasn't. It did have a dip, but it held the trend line as support, so that's bullish sign number one. Uh, as far as momentum, momentum is above 80, which means it has high momentum. Even though we're not really seeing explosiveness, it's good that it's above 80, but there is one bad sign. The blue has crossed the red. The red is the slower line and the blue is the faster line. What we'd like to see in an ideal situation, since we're already up here, is we'd like to see the relative strength index stay above 80 and have this blue line cross back up. And it can stay above here for quite a while. Uh, Even though you saw a dip below 80 here, as you can tell, the momentum can kind of travel here. Keep in mind, we're on the weekly chart. It can stay for a while up there. Some stocks it can stay there for months, but this one, let's see, that represents 16 weeks. So it's not uncommon, 112 days. So for XDC to have a push up, we would love to see this stay above here, have a little bit of a recovery, and then keep on traveling up. So we'll have to see what happens. If it starts crossing down below the 80 and continues to travel back down towards the 20, that means that there's no momentum in XDC, and we will likely see XDC drop lower, maybe to another support, back down to here where you had this support here. The money flow index is midway. It's fine. It's pointing up, so that's good. But what's also encouraging, if you look at the MACD, which is a slower indicator, the white line is starting to create a little bit of distance from the yellow line. And on this histogram, you can see that the histogram is what you want to see is you want to see it do this where it gets taller, and you want to see it go above this histogram line up here into this upper section, because right now we're in the bearish section. This is all bearish. This is the golden point. This is where you want to be for your stock. That means your stock is flying when you're up here if the white line is above the yellow and it's climbing. So we want these two lines to kind of go up here, indicating that this would be an indication, though delayed, that XDC is bullish. Essentially, the price is rising. So that's where we are right now. There's nothing from the charts that I can say, oh, in September, XDC is going to be here. There's nothing like that. All I can tell you is what I'm seeing currently. We could range some more. We could slowly start going up. It just depends. So what you really want to do as an investor or trader is you want to say, okay, what are the things that I want to see on, and if I start seeing that, do I put more money into it or do I exit it? So right now we are keeping this trend line. So theoretically, if you're thinking long term, you've seen the RSI kind of get above this trend line, this might not be a bad time in this zone to start accumulation. However, if you can't expect it to just go up, if it drops below here, it will probably go to here. Then you have to decide is, do you let it drop and keep your money in and then scale in some more down here, and then your break even will come faster, or do you have a stop loss under here and uh, you let it exit what you have currently in there? So your risk to reward, I don't think is too bad. It really just depends on how much you believe in this project, and whether you see it more as a long term or if you're more just interested in a short term run, like maybe hopefully catching something like this where it goes up and then you're out. You're not trying to get this. So that's where we're at with XDC. Um, I hope you have a blessed day, and please, as you are going through these charts, be sure to pray and seek guidance, and don't rush in. Take your time to think about these things. It's not a big rush, uh, but take some time to think about it. Have a good day.